Welcome back to this channel. Let's deep dive into the customer segmentation. There are plenty of videos on YouTube platform about this. I presume that the viewers here have the background in k-means clustering. I'll not waste my time here talking about the machine algorithm. Simply I'll show how I use this algorithm in my day-to-day work, how I apply them. What was the need for customer segmentation? Well, we have had around 250 customers. I'm not talking about individual person. Rather, they are like entities like retailers, supermarkets, wholesalers, NGOs, schools, etc. etc. Company had been spending numerous amount of promotional items along with unnecessary discounts, including customers who were giving us less of business, and it was a tedious job in Microsoft Excel to visualize. That cost a lot for the company. I mean, we needed to give particular discounts, promotional items to specific groups of people or groups of customers who are bringing in high value business as compared to those who are not. There was a need to segment them by cluster basis, like how much worth a group of people are giving us business. I'm sorry, I will not be able to show or share the real data. Don't want to fall into problems. I will show what exact variables that I'm using here for cluster analysis. I'll be using Knime software, which is a free version and an awesome tool for people who are not good in coding. By the way, I use R, Python, and SPSS. And as being an analyst, Knime helps me to make decisions faster, as I can visualize all my clusters easily without having to spend a lot of time in coding either in R or Python. Remember, the goal of my work is not to become a good coder, but to take correct business decisions which can help me also to get salary increment. In fact, everyone does that. R and SPSS, I basically use them for statistical purpose like ANOVA, Mankova, hypothesis testing, and Python for machine learning duties. We'll look into hypothesis testing, which helps solve an issue of whether launching a new SKU would eliminate or reduce counterfeits in the market or not. Anyway, back to 9. So I'm using Mac, so I'll just go to Safari, search for this name for Mac, click here, download and install. It's just a normal way how we install other applications. So I won't do that because I already have installed on my system. So I'll open up Knime. Since you choose your location wherever you want to load and save. So I know where my place is. It will take a little bit of time. The best use of Knime is for people like us, who are just on the move. I mean, you have to show presentation, you have to go to clients. In fact, you don't get time to code, to visualize things easily. So this is where this thing helps me a lot. So this is how the frame will be. I mean, the main page. So from here, what you're supposed to do, you click on file, which will be on top. Looks like it's not showing on my screen. So you click on new, then click on this workflow. Next, give a project name. I'll just say Knime. K means clustering, and simply click finish. Let me show you the data first. It's just a dummy data, but somehow I've copied some of the information from the original data. Yeah, and I just wanted to show you how the variables are, because most of the variables, in fact all the variables that are here, they're exactly like how in my real project there. So we have the customer ID number, we have the name, we have average monthly spend. I mean, like how much they have spent. They have, let's just say salary, not salary, sorry, sales they have brought to us, sales to company, and number of visits, how many times they have visited the company in 1 month. So like, take an example, Sam, Peter, Waswa, John, Stoney. These are the number of visits. Then we have product 1, product 2, product 3. In fact, we have around 11 SKUs, or 11 SKUs. So I've just used 3 of them just for demo purpose. And this is product 1, how many times it was bought by Sam in that month, product 2 and product 3. So let me just close this, save. Now let's get back to 9. So see what Knime is all about. It's just a drag and drop play thing. Since we are here, just click on this. The first thing you're supposed to have, you just click on search, type file reader. Yep. So drag it, bring it here, file reader. After that, we have to see, if you know k-means clustering, before applying the model, the machine algorithm, you are supposed to normalize the data, because if I open up this Excel sheet, my data is not in the same format. I mean, monthly sales and it's in a different format, number of visits is going to be different, so I need to bring them into same level. So by bringing the same level, you just have to type here normalize, it's here, click, drag, bring it here. After here, after this step, then type in k-means, drag and drop it here. Then we need to add color. For interactive dashboard, bring the color management here. Then we need scatter plot. So drag it, bring it here. And then the final step, it's supposed to be interactive table. So interactive table, it's here, click, drag, drop it here. Okay, after that you're supposed to join lines, like from this step it's going to be this step, then from here normalizer, it's going to be k-means. After k-means, it's going to be color management. After color management, it has to go to scatter plot. Then from color management, it has to go to interactive table. All right, so this step is done. Now the next step, right click on file reader. We have to read the data. Right click, configure. So wow, it takes time. Now we have to search for the data, where the data is. Just click on browse, desktop, customer spend. Let me see, let's go for customer CSV. All right, so we have the row, you have the name, month, everything is okay. Yeah, we haven't yet normalized the thing, so we are going step by step. Click on OK, then you click on execute. This step, it's done. Now we have to normalize the data. Configure, and you have min max, you have z-score, normalization by decimal scaling. Mostly I always go for min max, just for my work, which doesn't need a lot of processing, so I just go for min max. I click OK, then I click back, I click execute. This step is done. Normalizing is done. So now we go to k-means, configure. So mostly I start with three clusters, just like for my experience. I have always been using three, and it has been giving me good results. So if you want, you can change the value to 4 or 5. There are other ways of getting these clusters, like the elbow method, which we'll discuss later in the Python. If in case I have to make a video, I'll definitely show how that elbow method comes up. So number of clusters, 3. As for the moment, I'm going for 3. Yeah, so all this you don't have to look into it unless if you have a lot of work to be done. So I'm just showing you a demo. So click on OK, right click, execute. Now color management, configure. Now you have 3 different colors, right? So cluster 0, cluster 1, cluster 2. So 3 clusters with 3 different colors. If you want to change them, you can change them from here, but I'll just leave it as it is. Okay, right click, execute. Then scatter plot, right click, configure. As for the moment, I don't have to change anything. I just have to execute that scatter plot. Execute. Make sure no error should come in here. Yeah, in this box. This is called the console. So then after scatter plot, right click on the interactive table, configure. There's nothing you can configure here. Right click, execute. After executing it, right click again, view table. So this is how an impressive results it shows you. Yeah, like see, Sam, Peter, I've just given a name. This might be a company as well, like Sam's company, Sam and Sam, Sons, Peter, something. So I've just given these entities just a name. But remember, they're not individuals, yeah? Like the individuals where you have to show them age, height, and all that. You might have seen those examples on YouTube platform. But I'm just using these entities as names. Then daily, month, how much sales they're bringing to us, how many times they have visited, and this, and the products they have bought within that month by each of these clans. Yeah, and then at the last table it shows us cluster 0 Sam belongs to, cluster 1 Peter belongs to, cluster 1 also Warsaw belongs to. This how this thing is working on it, how we are getting the results. It's all about the distance they're computing from each other. As I said, I presume you must be knowing about Euclidean distance, Manhattan distance. So it's based on distance these clusters are being formed. So let me not just go deep into that, because my aim is just to show what I'm doing, how I'm getting the results out of it, and how I'm taking the business decisions. So three clusters are formed. In the next, we are going to look into each cluster, how much value altogether they're bringing the sales. Yeah, so basis on that, like suppose if I need to see if cluster 0 has brought less sales as compared to cluster 1, cluster 2, so I have to check on the customers who have brought those who fall under cluster 0. So I have to see why they're bringing. I have to schedule myself, go and visit them. So it I mean, there's that time management that I don't have to spend a lot. And that's how I work and take business decisions. Now I usually visualize which all customers belong to which clusters. And if a new customer comes in, I have to perform the whole steps again. All right, let's just go into R and we see how much values this cluster 0, cluster 1, cluster 2 are bringing in. I can do that in Knime as well, but in Knime it takes a little bit of tedious work. I have to export these results into Excel, compute formulas, but in R I just have to type in some commands and it gives me straight away the results. So let's just go and dive into R. Before I work in my R, I make sure I have deleted everything from here, from the memory, from here as well, and there's nothing here. So the first step, I have to select the file. So I go to desktop, customer.csv, view my data. So this is how the data was. Then I have to scale. I'm choosing columns 3 to 7. These are the most important ones: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So these are the variables that I have to scale them down, and I'm sure you must be knowing what scaling is all about, because I will not be concentrating on that. So these are the values which after scaling comes for every variable along with the names. Then after that we have to compute the distances. This is how I find a distance. We have Euclidean, we have Manhattan, we have Cheby's. So you must be knowing the difference between all of them, but I choose Euclidean right now. Euclidean, what my experience talks about, it's more of when you're profiling customers. I believe Euclidean is the best one. I've forgotten at the moment what exactly Manhattan was supporting and what Cheby's helps in. So if I get time, if I read again, I'll definitely mention that. Anyways, third step. So in this step, we have to see which element goes into which cluster. So in this cluster, I'm just creating a new variable, cluster 2, method average. You can have different types of linkage also here. I'm using average at the moment, but you can go for single and other linkages. Then I click on that. I have to plot them. This is how the dendrogram comes in. Then the next code, it shows me like three. Let me just zoom this. Now since I've got three clusters, it shows me Manjeet and Silva, they belong to one cluster. Waswa, John, Brenda, Stony, and Patricia, they belong to another cluster. And this is the third cluster, the final cluster with all these people in it. I'm sure you must have known how these clusters are formed, basis on the distances, after computing the distances from each other, from each other, the names. Then the fourth step, that is where you have to profile the customer. So the fifth step, we have to aggregate. We are removing the columns 1, 2, and the eighth one, the last one. When I run this command, the last column, it shows you the number of clusters. Like, Sam belongs to cluster 0, cluster 1, just like how we got into Knime this. So I run this command, then I profile it with this command. The final step, I view. So this is my final output. This is what I'm concentrating more on. See now, it shows me cluster 1 has given me sales of 4,687. Cluster 2 has given me sales of 6,800 USD monthly. Cluster 3 has given me sales of 26550. So when I look at this data, I see cluster 3. So when I see from here, I go back to my Knime and I see cluster 3. Who are all those people who belong to cluster 3? Okay, Knime starts with 0, cluster 0, but here it starts with cluster 1. So just replicate cluster 0 with cluster 1. So cluster 3 is for cluster 2. So cluster 2, I will go and visit Brenda, I'll go and visit Patricia, I'll go and visit Stony. These people, I'll sit down with them and I'll try to find out what are the limitations they're having. I'll decide whether should we support them from the company side, should we give them other promotional items, should we give them more support like in discounts. That business decision has to be decided by the managing director. So this is what I basically do. I present this report. This is just a small data, just for demo. I have around 250 at the moment, and it takes a little bit of time on this computer. So when I bring this, I perform this. After performing this, I put them into Microsoft PowerPoint and show it to my mosaic. I mean my my managing director. When there's someone elder to you, and he's respected person, so we call them mosaic. So this information from Knime, and then this information from R, like how much sales each cluster has brought, how many times this cluster, like cluster 1 has come, I mean like the number of visits this cluster 1 have done, then how many on an average, how many sales of product they bought, product 1 on an average, product 2, product 3. So on this basis I draft a report, I present it to him, and there he decides whether we should go ahead, give him this support, or we don't give him. And then majority of times, if I'm to share my experience, we concentrate more on these people, cluster 2. We give them huge discounts, we give them promotional items where they get their self-esteem, boost. I mean, it just boosts them. And for these people, we plan, we sit down and we decide how we're supposed to go ahead with this. And that's how one of my many machine algorithm helps me make correct business decisions. Always remember, the main objective of my work is to reduce overall expenditures and bring in more sales. Next, we'll look into other techniques that we use here in this company. That'll be for later videos, like how to do segmentation of customers on basis of RFM. I hope you are aware of RFM in Python. So I'll be sharing my experience, how I've done that in Python and how business decisions were taken. Hope you guys found out something useful in this video. If there's anything that you want me to change or you want me to share more, please let me know. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back with other videos as well.